reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here. Looking for a fast way to track what's moving online right now? Head over to Qnotables.com. It's a centralized index of notable clips, headlines, and references being shared across the community, organized for quick browsing. Use it to spot patterns, pull links, and build your own research list. Qnotables.com. Browse the notables, verify the facts, stay informed. From the Q Research Board's February 1st, 2026, recently surfaced email records show Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of DP World, appearing in correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein. One message carries the subject line almond bread and includes multiple bread recipes. The email is being circulated as another example of Epstein maintaining casual, non-business correspondence with influential figures over an extended period, using everyday topics rather than formal exchanges. Could they have been communicating in code? New scrutiny is being placed on U.S.-funded vaccine trials conducted overseas, following renewed online discussion of past hepatitis B dosing involving newborns in Guinea-Bissau. Critics argue the trials raised ethical concerns related to informed consent and long-term monitoring, while defenders maintain the studies met international research standards at the time they were conducted. A live police pursuit in Los Angeles drew public attention as law enforcement tracked a fleeing suspect across multiple neighborhoods. Air support and patrol units coordinated to manage traffic and public safety while the chase unfolded. Authorities have not yet released full details on the suspect or the reason for the pursuit. Amid panic in Fulton County, Georgia, new claims of widespread election fraud in Michigan are again circulating online, following posts amplified by intelligence-focused accounts. The allegations rest on statistical analysis, affidavits, and procedural questions raised after the 2020 election, though officials have repeatedly stated certified results were lawful. The issue remains a flashpoint in ongoing election integrity debates. Archived videos from Steven Crowder, recorded in the days immediately following the 2020 election, are resurfacing online. The clips focus on alleged irregularities in Michigan vote counting and procedures, and are being reshared as historical documentation of early post-election concerns rather than new evidence. As a reminder, Qnotables.com is a dedicated archive with extensive election fraud evidence. Anonymous posts from 4chan, reportedly made shortly after Jeffrey Epstein's arrest, are being re-examined. Some users claim the posts originated from individuals with inside knowledge, including a purported driver who worked for Epstein. No independent verification has confirmed the authorship or accuracy of those claims. A photograph from the wedding of Rachel Chandler is circulating online, drawing attention due to Chandler's alleged past associations with Epstein-linked individuals. The image itself does not establish wrongdoing, but is being discussed in the context of broader social network mapping tied to the Epstein case. Trump supporter Sterling Martin has shared statements describing his intention to counter Antifa activity by documenting identities and public behavior. Martin says his strategy centers on exposure rather than confrontation, framing it as an accountability effort rather than vigilantism. Online posts attributed to Travis Jurr show him boasting that he has no arrest record and claiming Portland police will never detain him. The statements are being cited by critics as evidence of perceived law enforcement leniency during periods of unrest in the city. Researchers John Harold and Chris Paul have released a discussion analyzing newly released Epstein-related files. Their conversation takes a skeptical approach, focusing on document authenticity, redactions, and what the releases do and do not prove about individuals named. Moody's Investors Service has raised Israel's credit outlook from negative to stable following a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas conflict. Despite the outlook change, Israel's sovereign credit rating remains at Baa1, the lowest level in the country's rating history. Side note, Baa1 written looks a lot like Baal, the Canaanite pagan gods from the Bible. Another resurfaced email shows correspondence between Ariane de Rothschild and Jeffrey Epstein. As with other emails in the release, the message is being examined for context and relevance rather than as direct evidence of criminal activity. Previously documented remarks attributed to Jeffrey Epstein describe him making derogatory comments about Madonna, including references to religion and identity. The statements are being cited as part of a broader pattern of inflammatory private language revealed through records and witness accounts. Records indicate Epstein sent DNA test kits to several prominent individuals, including Noam Chomsky and Woody Allen. The purpose of the tests remains unclear, and no evidence has been presented that recipients participated beyond receipt. Commentators note that years ago, large online creators such as Asmongold faced severe platform penalties for even discussing Epstein-related topics. The contrast is now being highlighted as restrictions around the subject appear to be easing. A rare atmospheric event known as a paraselene, or moon halo, caused the appearance of 4 moons over St. Petersburg, Russia. The phenomenon occurs when moonlight refracts through ice crystals in high-altitude clouds. Elon Musk has publicly stated he is not featured in any Epstein videos and has called for the release of Epstein-related footage with victims' identities protected. His comments emphasize transparency while acknowledging legal and ethical limits. Former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe has accepted a distinguished professorship at George Mason University. Critics note that official biographies make little mention of his role in Crossfire Hurricane or the Clinton email investigation. Additional miscellaneous Epstein-related materials continue to circulate, including partial documents, timelines, and archived media. Analysts caution that much of the material is fragmented. Democrats scored an unexpected victory in a Texas Senate special election runoff, flipping a seat that had favored Republicans. Analysts are examining turnout patterns and local issues that may have contributed to the upset. Ghislaine Maxwell is scheduled to testify before the U.S. House Oversight and Government Reform Committee on February 9, 2026. The testimony is expected to focus on Epstein's network, finances, and prior government awareness.
At shop.isawaya.com, everything you buy supports Qn.top, the place where people talk freely no matter what. Check out our Qn Honey Pot, a jar of yummy honey that's as strong as your voice. Put it on toaster and tea. It's not just honey, it's freedom in every bite. Then there's Qn Butter, a smooth handmade skin cream that makes you feel good while you fight for what's right. Awesome wood and pieces for display only. Hang them up or set them out. They're for showing off Qn's tough spirit. Want to help even more? Get a proto membership. So go to shop.isawaya.com now and grab some goodies. Help Qn.top keep free speech alive, and let's keep the ideas flowing loud and free.
All reports can be found on QResearch or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here.
From the Q Research Board's February 1, 2026, a prayer circulated anonymously online asks for protection over board's anons, bakers, and extended community, invoking safety and guidance in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. The science fiction film Johnny Mnemonic is trending again online amid renewed interest in cyberspace, data couriers, and surveillance themes that many say now resemble modern digital reality. Russian President Vladimir Putin has formally congratulated Patriarch Kirill on the 17th anniversary of his enthronement, highlighting the continued alignment between the Russian state and the Orthodox Church. Discussion has intensified around the number of foreign consulates operating in the United States, with some commentators calling for broader review of diplomatic missions across all countries. The U.S. Coast Guard has suspended its search for the crew of a fishing vessel lost off the coast of Gloucester, Massachusetts, citing severe weather and low survival probability. Families have been notified as the case moves into review status. President Trump addressed reporters aboard Air Force One, speaking on current domestic priorities, border enforcement, and economic policy. The remarks were delivered mid-flight and focused on executive actions already underway rather than new announcements. This broadcast will be re-streamed after the show. Dan Scavino confirmed President Trump landed in Palm Beach, Florida, to attend a wedding at Mar-a-Lago. Scavino described the president's attendance as a personal gesture rather than an official engagement. Images and references circulating online again show Ronald Lauder, associate Alan Ace Greenberg Ratner appearing in proximity to Jeffrey Epstein, alongside renewed discussion of individuals connected to Melania Trump's early modeling circle. The material is being reviewed as association-based context, not evidence of wrongdoing. Comedian Bill Maher stated that celebrities are often disconnected from everyday reality, arguing that fame and talent do not equate to real-world understanding. The remarks are being shared as commentary on cultural and political influence. Hackers linked to the Stop ICE campaign released proof of access materials indicating their previous warnings were credible. The incident highlights ongoing vulnerabilities in activist and advocacy platforms tied to immigration enforcement debates. Stephen Miller publicly called for prosecutors committed to combating fraud, violent crime, and illegal immigration to apply for positions at the Department of Justice. The message emphasized enforcement of existing statutes rather than policy expansion. The 1995 film 12 Monkeys is resurfacing in online discussion due to its themes of government power, public trust, and engineered crises, drawing comparisons to modern political and technological concerns. A reported Moltbook AI security vulnerability exposed user email addresses, login tokens, and API keys. The disclosure has raised renewed concerns over data protection in emerging AI platforms used by developers and businesses. Reports indicate the U.S. Department of Defense has clashed with contractor Anthropic over ethical limitations embedded in AI systems. The dispute centers on how much autonomy and restriction military-linked AI tools should have. A resurfaced statement from Tulsi Gabbard alleges evidence pointing to intelligence assessments being shaped under President Obama's direction. The claim remains disputed but continues circulating as part of broader intelligence oversight debates. Legal teams representing John Brennan are reportedly preparing for a possible Florida indictment, including motions seeking the recusal of Judge Aileen Cannon. No formal charges have been announced. President Trump reiterated claims that his tariff policies strengthened U.S. manufacturing and reduced foreign dependency. Supporters cite domestic investment growth, while critics continue to dispute the long-term effects. The Trump administration announced steps to return education authority to the states, emphasizing parental control and reduced federal oversight. The move aligns with long-standing federalism arguments. The documentary Silk, the Bevelyn B. Williams story is drawing attention for its portrayal of activism, prosecution, and religious liberty issues tied to public demonstrations. Kash Patel outlined what he described as probable cause supporting a warrant tied to Georgia election data. The discussion centers on chain of custody issues and data access rather than vote totals. Commentary titled, "Why Black Women Are Leaving the Democrat Party" is trending, citing concerns over crime, education, and economic policy. The discussion reflects shifting political alignment narratives. Full audio of President Trump's 2021 phone call with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger is circulating again. The recording continues to be debated over intent and interpretation. Historical footage highlights a 24-hour filibuster used to block the Civil Rights Act of 1957, often cited in discussions about Senate procedure and legislative obstruction. The Q clock for January 30th, 2026 references the timing of Epstein file releases and is circulating within online communities, tracking document drops and public disclosures. Dan Scavino and Aaron Elmore discussed life inside the White House, focusing on daily operations, media pressure, and executive decision-making during the Trump presidency.
Every voice matters. The power of free speech is more important than ever. Imagine a place where you can share your thoughts freely, explore new ideas, and engage in meaningful conversations anonymously. With online anonymity, you can express yourself without fear of judgment. It's about freedom, creativity, and connection. Join the conversation that matters. Embrace your voice. Celebrate your freedom. Visit 8kun.top today. That's 8kun.top.
That's all for now. Stay alert, stay informed, and never hand your thinking over to anyone on a screen, including me. God bless you, God bless our troops, and God bless the United States of America. See you soon.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing, Mr. President?
I'm very good. We had a good time at the alfalfa dinner. We did well. I hope we did well, but it was very good. Tremendous people. So what's up?
Sir, could you give us an update on where your thinking is right now with Iran? If you have made a final decision on what you want to do?
I mean, I certainly can't tell you that, but we do have very big, powerful ships heading in that direction, as you know. I can't tell you,
Okay.
but I hope they negotiate something that's acceptable.
Saudi Arabia, different minister reportedly said that if the U.S. backs off the strike, that will only embolden Iran. What's your reaction to that, sir?
Some people think that, some people don't. You could make a negotiated deal that would be satisfactory with no nuclear weapons. They should do that, but I don't know that they will. But they are talking to us, seriously talking to us. What about it? I did. Well, I met with Jeb Bush. I was on Jeb. I think you mean Jeb. No, I introduced him. Nice. He's a good fellow. And he's been very nice to me the last 6 months. I don't know what happened, but he was very nice. We had a good time.
Mr. President, on your Fed nominee, Kevin Marshall, why are you willing to wait for Senator Tom Tillis to leave the Senate, essentially, until, if you have to, Senator Tillis?
For Tillis, I didn't say I wouldn't wait, but I mean, he's leaving the Senate for a reason, because what he asked for didn't get done. So it's one of those things. I think he may get Democrat votes too. I think he's so good that he'll probably get Democrat votes. He should. He's very good. My choice, my Fed choice, should get Democrat votes.
Do you have a sense of what he's going to do as far as interest rates are concerned?
I hope he's going to lower them. I mean, if you watch him on television, because I watch interviews and statements, I hope he's going to lower them, but he's going to have to do what he wants to do.
Did he tell you? Did he make any commitments?
No commitments. I don't want to do that. I couldn't do that, I guess, if I wanted to. I didn't. I based it on quality. I mean, he's a very high quality person. He should have no trouble getting through.
Mr. President, did you make a comment at the dinner about saying that you would sue?
About what?
About suing Morris if he does not lower interest
Yes,
rates?
it's a roast. It's a roast. It's a comedy now.
So it was a joke.
And I said, of course, it was all comedy.
And of course, there is you're suing the IRS. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to be on both sides of a lawsuit?
It's very interesting. I have another one where I've virtually won the Mar-a-Lago break-in suit, and I have to work out some kind of a settlement. I'm supposed to work out a settlement with myself because when the FBI broke in, we sued. Before I was president, I sued, and obviously it was a very good suit, and I have that one, and I have to work out a settlement.
Have you instructed Pam Bondi on how to handle that at all?
Well, I think what we'll do is do something for charity. We're thinking about doing something for charity where I'll give money to charity. We could make it a substantial amount. Nobody would care because it's going to go to numerous very good charities.
Sir, you guys had the truth today about Minneapolis and how you might not see federal authorities intervene. You asked
What?
Secretary Note not to send in DHS in Democratic states.
No, I let them ask us if they want help. They're always complaining. If you go in, they complain. They complain no matter what. We brought crime to the lowest point in the history of our country. 125 years, 1900. Think of it. Year. Think of that. 1900. Can you imagine? We have the lowest crime in the history of our country, despite the fact that our country was riddled with a lot of bad people from the Biden open border. But we've taken a lot of them out. We're at the lowest point in history. We have the least number of murders in the recorded history of our country. That's incredible. But honestly, the crime-ridden cities are all Democrat-run cities. And if they want help, they have to ask for it. Because if we go in, all they do is complain. But if they want help, they can ask for it. And they're going to need help. Los Angeles, as an example, we went in, we solved it. The chief law enforcement officer in Los Angeles said they couldn't have done it without the federal government. A week later, he said they didn't need the federal government. So we don't want that. If they want help, they'll ask, but they have to say please.
On DHS funding, sir, the Democrats have made 3 demands. They say they want no roving patrols, they want established rules for use of force, and they want masks off.
Well, we'll talk about it. It's not appropriate yet. We have to let a little time go by, but we'll talk about it. But we want. I got elected for law enforcement, for the border, for the economy, things I've done a great job with. mean, when you have the lowest crime rate in the history of our country, recorded in 125 years, to be exact. So I fulfill so much. We'll have to talk about that over the next 3 or 4 days.
Mr. President, what did you think of the latest release of Epstein files, and do you think your critics will be satisfied with?
Well, they should be, because it looked like this guy Wolf, who's a writer, was conspiring with Epstein to do harm to me. And I didn't see it myself, but I was told by some very important people that not only does it absolve me, it's the opposite of what people were hoping, the radical left. That Wolf, who's a third-rate writer, was conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to hurt me, politically or otherwise, and that came through loud and clear. So we'll probably sue Wolf on that. And maybe the Epstein estate, I guess. I don't know, but we're going to certainly sue
You
Wolf.
want to sue the Epstein estate?
Well, you may, I guess so, because he was conspiring with Wolf to do harm to me politically. That's not a friend.
On your plan for Venezuela oil, sir.
You okay down there? You okay? I don't want to run on top of him.
You said that the profits will be split with the U.S. and Venezuela both benefiting. What's Venezuela's share of the oil profits going to be?
Well, we haven't discussed that, but we're getting along very well with the leadership of Venezuela. They're doing a really good job. We're going to be selling a lot of oil, and we'll take some, and they'll take a lot, and they're going to do very well. They're going to make more money than they've ever made, and it's going to be beneficial to us. We're going to really, I think Venezuela's really going to turn around. I opened up the airspace over Venezuela, so that now people from Venezuela came from Venezuela here. They're going to be able to go back for the first time, go back to Venezuela and stay perhaps, or go back and see their relatives, go for a short period of time.
Sir, do you think China's going to get their money back from all the money they lent to Venezuela for
I don't
oil?
know. I don't know anything about that, but I'll tell you what, China is welcome to come in and would make a great deal in oil. We welcome China. We've already made a deal. India's coming in, and they're going to be buying Venezuelan oil as opposed to buying it from Iran. So we've already made that deal, the concept of the deal. But China's welcome to come in and buy oil.
On Venezuela, do you think that Machado should be able to return to Venezuela?
I'd love to be able to do something with it, and maybe putting the sides together, doing something. I think she's a very fine person.
Do you think
But I think I have to say at the same time, the current leadership is doing a very good job.
Did you have any knowledge of the arrest of Don Lemon before it happened? Did you have any conversation?
No, I don't know anything about the Don Lemon thing, but he's a sleazebag. Everyone's known that. He's a washed-up. Probably, from his standpoint, the best thing that could happen to him, he's getting, he had no viewers. He was a failure. He was a failed host. And now he's in the news. I didn't know anything about it.
So what's your response to Claudia Sheinbaum's warning that the embargo or the restriction on Cuban oil to Cuba, could cause a humanitarian crisis there?
Well, it doesn't have to be humanitarian crisis. I think they probably would come to us and want to make a deal. So Cuba would be free again. They'll come to us, they'll make a deal, but Cuba really has got a problem. They have a problem. I know so many people from Cuba, but we have a lot of people in the United States right now that would love to go back to Cuba, and we'd like to work that out.
What do you want to see from Cuba? I mean, what do you need to see to make that kind of
Work a
deal?
deal. I think we're going to work a deal with Cuba. I think, we'll be kind. We have a situation that's very bad for Cuba. They have no money, they have no oil. Venezuela, they live off Venezuelan money and oil, and none of that's coming now. And then the president of Mexico, President Sheinbaum, was very good. I said, look, we don't want you sending oil there. And she's not sending oil.
Under plans for Washington, D.C., sir, the Washington Post reported that you're considering an arch that's 250 feet high. Can you talk a little bit about that and address your critics who say that might be a little bit too large for the space?
We're considering an arc. It's like the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. So for 200 years they wanted to build an arc. There are 57 cities throughout the world that have them. We're the only major city, Washington, D.C., that doesn't. The circle prior to the bridge, the Arlington Bridge, has been waiting for hundreds of years to have this done. In fact, there are 4 eagles that got built. but it was interrupted by a thing called the Civil War, and so it never got built. Then they almost built something in 1902, but it never happened. So we have an unbelievable ark that I think will be the most beautiful in the world being built there. It's going to be built there.
It's 250 feet.
I don't know what the height is. It's just appropriate for the site. We're setting up a committee, and the committee's going to be going over it, but it'll be substantial. I'd like it to be the biggest one of all. We're the biggest, most powerful nation. I'd like it to be the biggest one of all.
And to involve in this charity.
It's a very exciting job, actually. They've been waiting for many years, just like the ballroom. For 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom. Now we're going to put up the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world, as far as I'm concerned. And I could have built a much bigger one. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be in keeping with. I didn't want it to be taller than the White House, etc. So I wanted it to be in keeping. But it's a really beautiful building, done by some of the best architects in the world. The ballroom. Likewise, the Ark. I think it's going to be great. We're just setting up a committee now for the Ark.
Could the money from the lawsuit that you may settle with yourself go towards paying for that arch or for the ballroom?
Well, we hadn't thought of it, but we're going to probably, it's sort of a strange position because I have a lawsuit, like the break-in of Mar-a-Lago, and I pay myself that somehow will never look good. So when I had and other people, a lot of outside people said, what a great idea. Because nobody cares how much if it goes to good charities. So you settle by giving charities a lot of money. And I think we're going to do something like that. We're looking to do something like
Would
that.
charity be to pay for the ballroom and for the arch?
No, I don't think either of those two. I'm talking about American Cancer Society. I think they should be probably established charities.
On a answer, you had.
I would say established and respected charities.
On a answer, you had threatened those secondary tariffs on countries doing business with Iran. We haven't seen those yet. What are you holding off on?
Well, we're going to see. Look, we have a lot of things happening right now with Iran. We have a tremendous fleet going in that direction, and they're talking to us. So a lot of things could happen.
And the Canada tariffs, sir, that you talked about, are those coming?
Well, that was on the airplanes. Are you talking about the
about the China deal that they did.
If they do a deal with China, yeah, we'll do something very substantial. Because we can look. I have a great relationship with China, President Xi, but we don't want China to take over Canada. And if they make the deal that he's looking to make, China will take over Canada. And the first thing they're going to do, end ice hockey.
So speaking of China, sir, there was a military purge in that country a week ago. What do you make of that?
Well, as far as you're talking about China?
Yeah,
As far as I'm concerned, there's one boss in China, that's President Xi. That's the person I'm dealing with.
Are there any concerns about stability or?
No, I think President Xi is the boss. I watch it very closely, and he's highly respected in China. He's the boss.
Can I go back to Cuba for 1 second? Who exactly are you negotiating with on the island? Who's the government representative are you speaking with?
Where?
In Cuba. Who are you speaking with?
We're starting to talk to Cuba, yeah. We're starting.
Can you tell us who it
Look,
is?
they need help on a humanitarian basis, and we're starting to talk to Cuba. Don't forget, a lot of people that live in our country are treated very badly by Cuba. And we want them to be, they all voted for me, and we want them to be treated well. We'd like to be able to have them go back to home to their country, which they haven't seen their family, their country for many, many decades. So we'll work that. I'll be able to work that out, yes.
Do you have any update on what's happening with Greenland negotiations? Have you been in contact with Presidents Macron, Starmer, some of those European leaders?
Are you talking about on Greenland?
Yes.
On Greenland? Yeah. We have started a negotiation, and I think it's pretty well agreed to. I mean, they want us to do it. I think it's going to be a good deal for everybody. A very important deal. Actually, from a national security point of view, very, very important deal. I think we're going to make a deal there.
Mr. President, back to your post on ICE protests, what did you mean when you said people will suffer an equal or greater consequence?
If they do anything bad to our people, they will have to suffer. I'm sorry. If they start spitting in people's faces, punching our people, punching our soldiers, our patriots, they will get taken care of in at least an equal way. They're not going to do that like, You know, you see it, the way they treat our people. And I said, you're allowed, if somebody does that, you can do something back. You're not going to stand there and take it. If somebody spits in your face, that will not be a pleasant thing for the person that spits. We're not letting people spit in our soldiers' face as they stand at attention, and they're not allowed to do anything. If they throw bricks at a car, at one of our vehicles, and are very expensive vehicles, they're going to be met with very, very serious force.
Sir, do you think it's good having lots of cameras on these kinds of incidents between law enforcement and the people?
I think it would help law enforcement, but I'd have to talk to them. I'm going to be talking to them tomorrow. Actually, I think it would help law enforcement. You know, that works both ways. But I think overall, I think it's 80% in favor of law enforcement.
Who are you talking to tomorrow on law enforcement?
A lot of people. Well, I'm speaking to Chris, I'm speaking to Tom Logan, a lot of people. We have it in good shape. And, you know, Minnesota crime is way down because of what we've done. We've taken out thousands of criminals. What we want in Minnesota, we want them to open their jails and give us their criminals, and we're gone. That's all we want. And they're going to have to do it.
How are you feeling about Secretary Noakes handling the matters in the last week?
Well, she's did great. I mean, we have a closed border. We've taken out thousands and thousands of killers and murderers and everything else, removed them from our country by the tens of thousands, and we have the crime rate that's the lowest in history. You know, I didn't do the crime rate stats. It just came out yesterday that we have the lowest crime rate in the history of our country. So how's she doing? I think she's doing well. She's a good person. She works hard. Tom Homan is a star. You know, he's incredible. I mean, the guy's incredible. He's got an unbelievable, he's tough, and yet everybody likes him, both sides. So he's been great. But he said to me just tonight, he said, look, they've got to open up their prisons and give us their criminals and their murderers and their drug lords, and and we'll take care of them. And that's why crime is down in Minnesota, not because of anything they did, it's because of what we did. Same thing in Chicago. We have crime down in Chicago, and most people don't even know we're there, but we're there doing a good job. We have crime down all over the nation. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
That's a very dangerous shot he's got.
It's tight quarters.
That's the worst. That's got to be the worst shot on the.
I don't know. It's